I'm Dr. Samuel McPeak. I am an instructor in speech and communication here at SLCC.
Sounds good. So for today, it's going to talk about the decline in life expectancy in the USA. And the first question I want to ask you is, what do you know about the subject of life expectancy declining in America?
Well, what I do know is that life expectancy, or the decline of it, in our culture is a lot due to diet and lack of exercise, lack of physical activity, I would say.
Sounds good. So what is your opinion on it?
Well, my opinion is looking at myself in the mirror, and that there's a lot of truth to that, in the fact that if we go back 100 years ago or so, a lot of our activity, our work ethic and activity was manual. If you lived on a farm, you had to do things by hand. You had to walk. You had to everything you had to do was not machinery. It was by hand. As we became more urbanized, then that part of our activity declined. And so we continue to eat the same kinds of things, but now that we don't have that physical activity, the fats and those kinds of things build up in our system and deteriorate our health in the larger extent. The other thing is that by way of our diet, with the proliferation of fast foods, which are higher in fat, in saturated fats, higher in sugars, we have become addicted to those things, in a manner of speaking, and so it's added to the complexity. If you think back to it, or I think back even to my own childhood, growing up, and we ate at home. Even though you had food on the table, you were not necessarily consuming the same amount of calories that you would if you go out for breakfast to Mel's Diner, or you go out for crawfish, or you go out for a steak dinner, or even just go to McDonald's or Sonic. There's a lot more calories in one item than what many people would consume in a whole meal in a day, or in a sitting. So I think those things have contributed to a large extent to the decline in our life expectancy.
Sounds good. Third question I want to ask. When did you first hear about it?
I can't tell you when I first heard of life expectancy. I think that's been something that's been around, since I was in high school. That was a statistic that was out there about life expectancy, let's say in our country, as opposed to the life expectancy in Japan, or life expectancy in European nations. So those were statistics that were there. And again, it's not a problem. It hasn't become a problem overnight. It's been building up over time. Go back to the 1960s, and President Kennedy instituted the physical activity for children. I don't recall what the program was, but it emphasized sports. It emphasized physical fitness among our high school students, or among our students in public schools. Go through that session, or that system of how things have evolved, and that's really, it's been there a long time. It's not just something that's come up as of yesterday.
Sounds good. For second to last question I want to ask you. What do you think as Americans on ways that we can increase our life expectancy?
I think the first thing is to get up off of our butts and put down the fork. what I try to do is I try to maintain a physical activity regime. I try to work out, do weightlifting, strength training. I try to do walking, running on a regular basis. So even though I'm overweight, yet my heart and health has been fairly good, regardless of my weight, because my blood pressure, I have good blood pressure, I have a good heart rate, resting heart rate. So those are things that I've done that maintain. As somebody put it, it's not my exercise. It's the distance from my hand to my mouth. That's the big thing for me. And so I have to try to watch my diet as well. And I think if people would watch their diet, eat more fresh vegetables, more lean meats, less processed food, I think we would increase that.
Sounds good. And the very last question I want to ask you: do you think that the statistics continue to decline or rise over the next several years?
You're asking me, do I think life expectancy will continue to go down?
Yes, sir. Or will it get better and shoot up at some point?
I think it all depends on what we as individuals do, and what kind of programs are offered for good nutrition. So it's not, I don't know how to predict that. I would like to think that people are listening to the warnings and listening to the advice, but that's very hard to tell. So I think I'm not sure how to answer that question. Right now, the way I see things, the more we are becoming reliant upon technology, the less likely it is for our life expectancy to go up. Or to put it another way, I think more technology, the more sedentary we become, the lower our life expectancy will become.
All right, sounds good. Nice talking to you for today, and see you later.
Okay.
Appreciate that, Mr. McPhee.
All right, take care.